to Unapologetically Fierce with Faith, brought to you by CKJ Live. This is a safe place where my beloved tribe members and I put anything and everything on the table and dish the unfiltered tea. We are not just a podcast, we are a movement. So get your favorite beverage on hand and enjoy the show.
Hey ladies, how's everybody doing?
Hey Tam.
Hey Tam.
Hey. I am so excited to wrap up our self-care series. And I'm also a little bit shocked that we've gone through all the episodes already, but time has just been flying with everything. But I am so excited to wrap up our self-care series with what my current obsession is right now, which is all things skincare. And skincare doesn't just apply to your face, even though it's automatically what people think of. It's your whole body. You're covered in skin. So it applies to everything. But I guess today, mostly I want to focus on the face, because the face is kind of what we present to everybody. That's what everybody sees. If you're not feeling your fittest, you can throw on something that you maybe feel comfortable in. You can hide your hair if it's not the way you like it. But generally speaking, your face is out and people see it. So, that's kind of what I want to talk about today, your face and your skincare and keeping yourself together. And I don't feel like it's something that we talk about enough, especially as women of color. We all subscribe to the adage of Black don't crack, which is true, because, we look good and we keeping it together. But, while it doesn't crack, it may fade a little. It might chip here and there. It may lose some of its shine. With time, things don't always hold up the way they used to. But no worries, because the good thing about skincare is it doesn't matter when you start it. It's never too late to jump on the train. You can start it at any point and still get yourself to where you want to be. So with that being said, I'm going to throw out my first question. I'm going to start with you, Miss Faith. At what age did you realize the importance of skincare?
I think it was middle school, probably around 7th grade, because I think then, you're in that kind of weird stage. And I had a really bad acne problem. So, and I remember back in the 80s, they had, people were using Clearasil, Noxzema, and I didn't know the difference of, okay, this is good for your skin or this is not good for your skin. So my skin was so sensitive. It still is sensitive. Thank God I don't have acne anymore, but it would rip and burn my skin.
The Clearasil, the patch thing? Yeah, because it was strong.
Because you remember, I don't know if you guys remember those dots, those commercials in the 80s, they had the little dots or whatever. They're yeah, it'll clear up your skin. And I thought that it would for me, but
Trial and error, that's all it's about.
Trial and error.
What about you, Carrie?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it really started around puberty time. That's when you kind of become aware of your body, your self-image, and you want to kind of improve on it. I am blessed with decent skin genes where I don't really pack on a lot of makeup. I don't really have a lot of blemishes, and I could really literally get away with putting moisturizer or lotion on and calling it a day. But I would say definitely puberty. It's been a simple routine. I'm from the same era as Faith. So yeah, we did the little Noxzema pads, we did the Clearasil, or we did Seabreeze. But I watched my mother really use Pond's cold cream and oil of Olay. That was her thing. And she had flawless, beautiful, youthful looking skin that she still has to this day. My mother's going to be 74 this year. So maybe I got lucky with the skin gene. But I did have eczema as a young child. So eczema plagued me, and I was a cortisone person. And I had it at the back of my knees and on my elbows. But other than that, I was very, very lucky. So puberty would be it.
For me, I'm going to say it was around the same age. I'm actually surprised we all have similar answers. Well, at least 3 of us so far. Because, it was middle school, and it was because of acne that I started to become very hyper aware of 2 things: my teeth, which I know we're not talking about today, and my skin. I just felt like what you were saying, Tam, in the intro about like that's the thing that you present, and I was pretty insecure, especially when you have acne. So I started to really pay attention to how I was taking care of my skin, and developing a routine that's changed through the years. But I want to say it was like middle school, and then towards high school, I really started to kind of hone it in, because in middle school, you're just like, oh, I know I need to wash my face. Like that awareness came over me. I should probably wash my face, because before that you just shower and it's like you don't think about it when you're a kid. You maybe splash water on your face. But you can't just use a bar of soap. Well, you find that out the hard way when you have acne, right? So I started to develop. So I want to say middle school is when I started to pay attention to what I was doing, what my face was doing and responding to acne and stuff. And then high school, I sort of honed it in and got a little bit more like regimented about it.
You guys started early, and I'm proud of you guys, because I was tardy to the party when it came to skincare. And I really shouldn't have been, because my mom has always been an advocate for like taking care of your skin. Like my mom, whether it was Mary Kay or Avon or whatever other product she felt like she needed, Revlon, whatever, like she was always adamant about it. But in that, also, my mom has hyperpigmentation on her face. So she gets like really, really dark under eye, which she's always very conscious about. So she's always been adamant about skincare because she had that issue. I was blessed with the good gene of like not having skin issues. So I just felt like, well, I guess if I don't have an issue, then I don't really need to like tend to it. I do have what I guess is commonly known as strawberry skin, which is mostly on my legs. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You know how when you look at a strawberry, it has like the little seeds and the little holes, like my legs kind of look like that. So that was probably like my only issue with it. But, I just wore pants throughout my youth. So it didn't really bother me. But as far as like my face went, I just kind of got away with occasionally having like a pimple. And then I would buy by the time I was, in middle school, high school, it was the Clearasil pads. And, we would just buy the pads or whatever. And I would just kind of like swipe them over my face at night before I went to bed. I guess that was like my washing my face. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to take this salicylic acid and just rub it across my face, which was really drying out my skin, but it prevented me. So I didn't really think that I needed much more than that. It wasn't until I got older, as with everything, like your body starts to turn on you, and things that you didn't have to worry about as a kid are now more prevalent. So now I'm noticing the changes in my skin and, the things like hair growth, in places that you didn't have the hair growth before. So now you tweeze in places that you laugh at your grandma, your mom for tweezing, and now you find yourself like, sitting there like, ooh, like, okay, let me get a new tweezer. Like having to buy that like first tweezer was like an experience for me. I was like, what is this? Like, who am I turning into? So again, I thought they were old people problems, but apparently we all have to go through that. Acne. I know people that develop acne as adults, and again, knock on wood, like that's not me, but I do notice that my skin doesn't bounce back from the occasional pimple the way that it used to. I'll notice that like you kind of have like a lingering like dark spot. And my grandma was very big on don't pick your face. That was her, like, like in her little Caribbean nest, like, you mustn't pick your face. You don't stay with marks all over your face. So I never did it as a kid, but now as an adult, even when I don't do it, like I'll have the little spots. And when I see her, she'll be like, what did I tell you about picking your skin? And I'm like, I promise I'm not. Like, it's just, I don't know if it's hormonal probably, or just, age. And then also like the dark spots. A lot of it comes from sun exposure, living in South Florida. Like even when you don't want to be exposed to the sun, it's in your face. Like I'm sitting at my desk here earlier today and like the sun is beaming. So, you can't really escape it. And then there's also hormones involved in that, or the inflammation from the acne that sometimes, you do pop your face and you do get that. So those are all the things that now I have to be more intentional about treating that I didn't have to worry as a youth. But you know what they say, beauty is wasted on the young. So it's like getting older and having to do all of these things. So I have spent a lot of time with my magnifying mirror in my bathroom with my bright lights on, kind of just getting in there and just looking at my face. But what I've noticed that like for me personally, it's very Zen-like or very meditating-like to do it. Like, it's not necessarily a critique as far as like, oh my God, look at these hairs that I need to pull. It's kind of like the vulnerability of just kind of sitting there, like you have no makeup on, like you're looking at yourself and it's like purest form because it's like zoomed in. And you kind of have to learn to appreciate like what you look like and what you have going on when you're in this. So I've kind of taken that to be like my time. You know, I close the bathroom door, usually on Sunday evenings, if I'm not going anywhere, that's kind of like my time to just kind of get in there and just like stare at my face and just kind of be like, girl, you with these almond shaped eyes, like, you know, you cute. Like, you know, it's just kind of like where I give myself my affirmations and my motivations, because it's easy to look at yourself and just kind of be like, oh my God, look at all these spots on my face, or oh my God, like look at, you know, my nose, or whatever the case is. And you can kind of get down on yourself. But I've kind of taken those moments and just kind of giving myself a little pep talk, like whether I'm pep talking my skin, you know, when I'm giving myself my little facial massages, or just kind of like just looking at it and like, girl, you know, you kind of cute today, or, you know, whatever, and just kind of build myself up that way. So that's kind of where I take that and I kind of use that in that sense. But I also kind of get into my skincare routine in there too, which I've had to develop because, again, like what worked for my mom and her issues aren't what works for me, because my issues are different. And everybody's is different. Like everybody's skincare routine looks a little different. So that's my next question. I want to know, what is your skincare routine? Like if you have one, like what do you guys do? And I'm going to start again with you, Faith. What about you, Carrie?
Yeah, you know what? Mine's kind of basic, so I'm kind of embarrassed to say I'm almost still like that natural soap and water girl. I really have been blessed, but it's very simple. Moisturizer is the thing for me right now. I'm not really big into makeup, but if I do remove it before I go to sleep, and I'm laughing because there are nights I think, you know what, this makeup is staying on, it's hitting the pillow with me. But moisturizer is my big thing. I'm starting to get fine lines. And like you know, it's becoming a regular routine for me to hit the mirror with good lighting and a really good slanted tweezer. And you're still younger than me. So yes, you're doing that on Sundays. I'm actually at the point now where I'm probably doing it every 3 days. And it starts with something as simple as a touch across my chin or underneath my chin. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I run to the mirror. I can't even see anything. It's not even a dot, but it feels like it's like a half of an inch. And I don't stop until I find that one hair. I've considered some procedures to actually make the hair thinner and go away permanently. Haven't quite got there yet, but moisturizing is one of the most important things, and sunscreen, of course, especially for people of color. We do need sunscreen too to help protect our skin. But yeah, mine is really basic. I'm not fancy. I'm not really even fussy. I'm quite simple. My children, on the other hand, I'm not sure where they got it from, because it wasn't me, probably my sister. They do the apple cider vinegar. They do masks. They get products in the mail. They do charcoal this. They create things that are frothy and, they smell good in the home, and they're buying stuff. My daughter is 13. She just ordered jojoba oil. I do use rose hip oil. That's a big one for my scarring. Which never was an issue until I started getting older and I wanted to touch something. Then I realized it blew up. So rose hip oil is something I do use. And moisturizer and sunscreen, but that's pretty much it. I'm simple.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to get it twisted. When I say I do Sundays, that's not like when I tweeze. I'm like you. As soon as I
oh yeah,
I'm like, oh, gotta go. But I mean, like my full-on thing is usually on Sundays. But yes, honey,
yeah, I'm a queen with that. I love it, and a good tweezer, a good mirror. My husband bought me the lighted mirror, the one that extends out, like the ones that you use in a hotel.
Yeah,
and you're like, I have to take this home. I need this. So yeah, it's big, but skin is important, and you really don't even realize it until you begin to age and you have taken it all for granted, that nice, tight, supple-looking, healthy skin. So hydration is another big part of the skin piece. And less stress, is sleep. Very interesting, basic stuff. Yeah.
What about you, Faith?
I think my regimen has changed because, again, I was trying a lot of different things because my skin, it's different. It's different with the environment. And so it could be dry, oily, dry, whatever, depending on where I am. But I pay a lot more attention to it because I bruise easily. and I get, and you know, I'm always trying to pick my face. Like my face is like, okay, I don't want to touch it, but you know, if you see something, you're like, okay, that can't stay there. And I find, as my family members call it, I'm no longer young, I'm middle-aged. So
now middle-aged.
You know, I have like different, like I find like moles, I find different things because I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Or like hair. And I use, you know, those infomercials that come on. I got this neat little tool that kind of like works around the hair. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
No, do tell, because I guess I'm middle-aged too.
Oh, it is so, actually it's right here, is this thing right here.
Oh, okay.
And you open it and it just goes, and you turn it on and it lights up, and then you just do what you got to do.
I've seen those before. I'm always like wary of them. Like now that you have
I was very wary. But I was tired of the hair, and I'm just like, hair will grow different places, and I'm just like, no, I can't deal with this.
I'm wary of that too, because I'm always like, I may have a little peach fuzz, but I'm going to turn to a full-on beard if I start like playing around.
No, it's actually really good because, you know, my routine before was that I used to go get, you know, waxed, and I'm just like, man, this adds up. Let me get a little tool and kind of like focus on it. But I've also changed with using the creams that I have. So I'll use Cetaphil, love Cetaphil cold cream, and the Cetaphil facial wash is really good.
Yeah, that's really good. I heard about that one too.
And that's my go-to. So really, it really helps, and it refreshes the skin. And also, as Carrie said, just trying to drink a lot more water, because you can see the funny thing about it, you don't really notice these things until you get older, that like the more carbonated drinks, whatever, you'll see it all over your face, you know? So I try to do that.
Fair enough.
So my routine has definitely changed through the years, but I've kind of honed in on what I think works. I don't really anticipate my skin issues changing too much, except for the fact that I'm aging, obviously, like the rest of us. So aside from that, it's pretty stable. I don't really deal with acne a lot. I do have random breakouts, and like you said, Tam, they are much more difficult to deal with. They're not these huge breakouts that would happen when I was a kid, where I had like a section of my face that just had breakouts. It's more like one random pimple that takes forever to break through the skin and then never wants to heal. But even that, I've sort of figured out how to take care of it. So my routine today consists of washing my face a couple times a day. It's usually in the morning when I wake up. And that's more of like a quick rinse because I usually do skincare at night. So it's pretty clean in the morning. At night, I do wash my face. I will always wash makeup off. I use a cleansing balm for that to get the makeup off, or cleansing oil, and then wash. So I do like double wash, I guess is what they call that. Everything that I use, it has moisture or hyaluronic acid or something like that in it. So my favorite brand is actually CeraVe, I believe is what it's called, because it has ceramides in it, and it's a really great moisturizer. There's no fragrances in it. By the way, we're not sponsored by them. I wish we were. If we are, that's going to be awesome. So this is not a plug for the product, other than that I really enjoy them. There's no fragrance or anything that irritates the skin in them. So I generally use that. Or La Roche-Posay is another favorite of mine that you can find at Target to like deep cleanse. But everything I use has some kind of moisturizing element to it. So I'll wash my face. I usually tone to exfoliate. I use glycolic acid for that. It's a chemical exfoliant. So just a cotton pad kind of gets that dead layer of skin off, but it's not harsh at all. And then I treat my skin depending on what condition it's in day to day. So there are days I wake up and it looks extra dry, which is my main issue. And that's the day that I'll go ahead and put in some extra serums. I might go to sleep with the face oil that night. But if it's, if I'm having a relatively good skin day where I look in the mirror, looks clear, looks bright, then it's just wash, maybe tone, but probably skip over that and just apply the moisturizer. I use SPF every single time I'm out of the house. Every single time, even if it's a overcast day, even if I'm going to be in the car most of the day, there's always SPF. There's a lot of SPF in the products that I use, like makeup products as well. That's something I think I learned early on too, is that the best thing that we can do for our skin is protect it from sun damage. Second best thing, which none of us have talked about yet, but I think is really, really important, is it's equally as important for skincare what you put in your mouth, what you eat. So I drink water as much as I can. I love avocado and stuff like that. But I also take a vitamin that's like, has biotin and skin and hair, like good qualities to it. But, in a diet that's rich in like good stuff, good for you stuff, doesn't cause me to break out and that sort of thing. I think that actually really helps skin just as much as like what we put on top of it. So thinking about it from the inside out is important too. And I think that about covers it. I mean, when I do have a random breakout, I'll use one of those like topical creams that, dries it out within 2 or 3 days. I don't pick at my face. I try not to touch my face, to kind of keep it clear. And that's it. And now I'm just watching like a hawk for all the fine lines and wrinkles that are multiplying. Thankfully, I don't have any of the like random hair issues yet. My mom really is not a hairy person at all. Like she's no body hair. So I'm anticipating maybe that won't happen to me, but that tool that Faith just showed us, the minute that starts happening, I'm running that sucker across my face every night. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I think for me, it is a pretty basic routine, but for a lot of other women, they see my cabinet and they're like, what the hell's going on in here? But I'm just ready for like any possibility, dry skin days, breakouts, etc. But yeah, I think it's a pretty simple routine. I think for me, it's just about being diligent with it. So even when I don't want to, I will wash my face at night. At the very least, I'm cleansing, even if I don't have time for any extra steps. And that's it. And never go to sleep with your makeup on if you can help it.
Yeah, that's a big one. Like, don't go to, that was like, that's the only thing that I would be like, let me get the makeup remover wipes and just kind of like rub it off at the bare minimum. I would do that. But yeah. So my skincare routine has changed from it not being much of a routine to now it being like a very like specific, like I have like Myrna said, like my daytime routine and I have like my nighttime one. So my daytime, same thing. It's a little easier because I, washed the night before and everything else. So it's just usually cleanser, toner. I do use serum with vitamin E because I do find that while I don't have the same hyperpigmentation that my mom does, that because I do sometimes get a little dark spot and stuff like that, I do use the vitamin C or the hyaluronic acid serums to kind of try to combat that. So I have been doing that. And then moisturizer with sunscreen. I like, and again, none of these brands are plugs. This is just, people maybe listening that don't have an idea of like what products to try. And these are the products that work for us. So for the daytime, I really like Rihanna's Fenty line. I usually try to stay away from like the super like, oh, well, if this person's making it, I'm going to try it. But I did try hers and I really like it. So I use her cleanser, toner, and her moisturizer because it does have SPF in it. And then, I'm a little lighter with the daytime because usually that would be when if I'm wearing makeup, like if I'm going to work and I'm putting my makeup on, that's when I put like primer and all the other stuff. But now that I'm home, I still put on the moisturizer because I read, and it's something that I wasn't aware of initially, but you can still get a lot of the UV rays that you would get from being outside from sitting in front of your computer all day. So a lot of people tend to think just, okay, well, I'm not going outside, so I don't really need sunscreen, which is not true. You also need sunscreen when you're in front of the computer because that also has a similar effect to burning your face. Like,
man, then I am in big trouble because I never put on SPF and I sit in front of my computer 9-10 hours a day. That explains the fine lines and wrinkles.
I had to learn that because I bought the glasses that you wear, like, for the blue light glasses. And then reading into it, I was like, oh, so I should be using SPF for my face for just sitting in front of the computer too. So maybe not as strong as you would if you're going outside, but definitely a little something. And then at night, I do use an oil-based remover to get like whatever makeup gunk off. And then again, cleanser, toner. And that's when I use like my serums and my eye cream and moisturizer. And I like Ole Henriksen. I like that brand. And I also like Sunday Riley. So those are the brands that I like. But I mean, the thing with skincare, just like makeup, it's always like trial and error. You kind of have to figure out what products work for you and what don't. Like I've gone through a lot of products to figure out what works for me, but thankfully the fine people at Sephora are really good at giving you little samples so you can try them on and just kind of see what works for you. So that in a nutshell, without getting too deep into it, that's my nighttime routine. And I think I am keeping myself together. I'm trying my best. And, like I said at the beginning, skincare is something that you can jump on board at any time. It doesn't have to be something that you've been doing for the past 20 years. But with everything else, like with dieting or meditating or even being financially savvy that we've covered in our other episodes, it's something that does take consistency. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, and you do have to be dedicated to it to see the effects. But once you start seeing the effects, you're going to notice and you're going to be like, okay, I look pretty good, and you're going to want to keep up with it. So a few things to remember. Always wash the day off your skin, because if you're outside or just running around, all of that dirt and pollens and all that just sticks to your face. You want to get that off. Proper hydration is a major key to healthy skin. So you can do everything you want, but if you're not drinking water or, like Myrna said, watching what you put in your mouth, you are not doing yourself any justice. Do not pick at your face. That's one. I'm just throwing that in there for my granny. Like, don't pick at your face. And then also, and this is more of like a body conscious one, but always apply your moisturizer immediately after you shower, because the skin best absorbs the moisture and it locks it in longer when you apply to a damp skin. So remember, just go ahead and as soon as you get out of the shower, put your lotion on, get that absorption in there. And that's all I have for you ladies. Like, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to, my skincare routines. I'm so excited about it. When you're excited about something, like you want to just share, like Faith always says, and just kind of get that out there for everybody else. So remember, and I read this quote on Pinterest and I thought it was really cute. And aging is a fact of life. Looking it does not have to be. And that comes with Myrna always says forever 29, and that's where that comes from. So, you're only as young as you feel. So if you want to feel young, you gotta do what you gotta do. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our self-care series. If this is the first one that you're listening to, I hope you'll go back and listen to the other 3 episodes. These ladies have all given us some great tips on different things, from meditation and skincare is me, but financial wisdom and how to get physically fit. So go back and check out those other episodes. Ladies, thank you so much. As always,
Yay.
It's been Bye guys. Love it. Go wash your face.
Yeah, I'm gonna go wash my face.
Please do, ladies. Wash your face.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us at Unapologetically Fierce with Faith, brought to you by CKJ Live. Come back and visit again to hear more of the unfiltered tea that we are ready to dish. And remember, we are not just a podcast, we are a movement.